Ooh. Then in your underlying energy, you have this little dude. You have the Page of Cups. Okay, let's talk about emotions, small little itty bitty romantic love. It also talks about an offer of love as well. Underneath, you have the Ten of Wands. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, the Ten of Wands. Perhaps there was a burden in the past, something that completed itself. That was a completion of a cycle, and now you got something small, cultivating something sweet and something nice, something not so serious. You know, it's really nice. It's also could talk about this is what this could talk about what you want, about what is your heart's desire, right? Well, the King of Cups is in your current state of being, so there's either a water sign or a Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer in your life right now, or this is somebody that you are in love with, you guys are feeling very connected to, you guys, you feel a love for them back, right? It could be that this individual here is just very intense, very emotional as well, because the King of Cups is very emotional, very intense. He's got his stuff in the wraps though. He's really good at controlling his emotions though. He's very good at that. Now, your best path to follow, or your desired outcome is the Queen of Swords. Y'all want to be more detached. You guys want to feel more in your power and more in your energy, of course. But you have the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, it's not a bad card. I don't actually mind seeing this. I feel like obviously, right? I completely understand wanting to be more in your energy. Now, Queen of Swords is more of like a Libra. You would be more like the Knight of Swords. But that's the thing that's keeping you from being the Queen of Swords, or keeping you from connecting with Queen of Swords energy. Like, you want to be the Queen of Swords, but instead you got impulsive energy coming up. Like the things that there's a lot of like fighting for what you believe in, a lot of quick-witted responses, a lot of combative communication that's stressing you out with the Nine of Swords. There could be something here that it could be that too, that there's no progress, there's not a lot of communication, or like I was saying before, the communication that is here is combative. But the Queen of Swords knows her truth. She knows how to convey it without having to have a fight. She's good at that. All right. She'll let her stance known, and then at that point, she's like, you know what? You tread softly. And I feel like, in a way, you guys want to be like this. You guys want to be able to just kind of say with your piece and then be able to walk on. Just be like, all right. I told you what I needed. I told you my truth. I told you my boundaries. It is what it is now. But you have stress, depression, sadness in the past. Right, as a result of there being a lot of combativeness, a lot of back and forth, right? Yeah, it's progress, but it's one in which that can be kind of brutal, a little bit tough, right? Because the truth can hurt. All right, but I feel like that's the thing. That's what's keeping you from being the Queen of Swords. Perhaps there isn't a lot of communication of the truth, and that's what's stressing you out. You haven't been your Gemini self, this is your card, the Knight of Swords. That's your card. Being out front, communicating what you say, communicating what you're thinking. You know what I mean? And I really feel like right now there hasn't been a lot of that either. The Page of Cups is all about talking about emotions. What was underneath here? The Ten of Wands? Yeah, a burden. What was this burden? The Page of Swords. Communication. Man, there hasn't been a lot of communication. That's what that's looking like to me. Page of Swords talks about, blunt truths. It's a child with a sword. They're going to be swinging their sword all earnest. You may cut somebody. That's dangerous. But it's they're being honest about how they would honestly use that sword, right? They're earnest. And they're honest about that sword. They're honest about how they would use it. The truth can hurt in the wrong hands. And I feel like that's the thing. Like, perhaps there's some sort of blunt truth, or maybe there's something here that needed to be discussed, and it has a lot to do with the emotions. So the Seven of Swords is coming up as your best path to follow. And typically, I would talk about just being honest. right? And taking that risk and going out there and putting yourself out there and just saying what you need to say. Rip it off like a bandage, right? The Seven of Swords energy is not saying to be sneaky. It's not saying to lie. It's not saying to be deceitful. It's not saying any of that. But it is saying that there is a situation that is obviously very uncomfortable for you that probably would benefit you if you just go ahead and done it. Because right now there's no movement. It's just stress and desiring to be somebody that you truly want to be, which you can be and you know you can be, but it's just like overcoming this fear. Perhaps not necessarily fear, but I don't think you're afraid of anything. Well, it could be, right? With the Nine of Swords, it talks about anxiety, stress. Right? What are you anxious for? Right? What are those doubts? It's like going on up top and a lot of inflamed thought. You know what I mean? And it could be that there's some things that just need to be said. Now, I don't know, this King of Cups is, you could love this person, right? Love this person deeply. It can be he or she, doesn't matter the sex. It doesn't matter any of it, right? You could love this person very deeply, but it doesn't mean that perhaps they kind of register, they understand you. Perhaps there's just some things that you just need to say. Now, in your feelings, you have the Ten of Cups, which talks about an emotional cycle. An ending of an emotional cycle. Like, you feel good, perhaps, right? This could be that you feel good, because this talks about the happily ever after. Right? You're sitting underneath an archway of golden cups, and you're smiling with the person that you love. Right? It could be that you feel good, Do you though? With this Nine of Swords there and this the Knights of Swords and the Nine of Swords together like that, are you sure? Because it looks like you're fighting some things off. You're fighting a disaster that isn't, that may be there, but not necessarily addressing. It could be that you just are just seeing a cycle end, or you're in a cycle. You've reached the peak of a cycle for you. You've reached the peak of the situation. You're at the point where there's not much more you can feel anymore. And I feel like maybe the desired outcome is to be more detached and look at a situation with a little bit more logical eyes. Because here in your hopes and feelers, you have the Devil coming up. This could talk about a lot of things. Could be feeling like you don't want to feel trapped in a situation. You want to feel that you want to have power within yourself. Like the Queen of Swords, she always has power, no matter what situation she's in. She never feels disempowered, because her truth is what cuts her free. This is what shows her strength. And the Devil also can indicate too that, can indicate that you're in a situation where you feel like, you feel like it's toxic, perhaps. The Devil could also indicate too, for some of you guys, that you hope for some sort of change in the pattern or dynamic of one's behavior. Maybe somebody has addiction issues, or somebody has some situations, some behaviors in which is not the healthiest, and you would like to see that changed. Perhaps you have some bad behaviors of your own that you'd like to see change for yourself, for the betterment of yourself. Now, the outcome is not something I like to see, because it does show that there's a lot, there's, being left out in the cold. And remember, guys, that the outcome is a projection of where you are at this moment. So this King of Cups could be someone that is super emotional, but makes you feel left out in the cold. Be careful, because the King of Cups, can be very manipulative. I don't know if you're dealing with a very manipulative individual, because this is what it looks like here. Somebody's manipulating the crap out of you right now. Or they're being very manipulative, right? But again, this doesn't necessarily have to happen. But the outcome shows there is this potential for there to be this energy where you feel left out in the cold. There's something lacking in the connection. that doesn't mean that you stay here. Of course, this is a 5. This is about changes. What changes about the situation now? Because you're constantly in a situation where you're having to struggle, where you're having to kind of fight your way through. No. Well, what is this, right? Change, a dynamic change. Getting to a place where it's more stable, where you can feel more solid, Gemini. Because right now you are not feeling very solid. You're feeling like you're ready to cut somebody up. You're ready to slice and dice whoever side comes in your path. And I feel like it's because this King of Cups. Somebody has pissed you off. Or somebody's just put you off. Because the Seven of Swords is coming up as your advice. You just need to let it happen. Just communicate it. Just talk to them about what you need to talk about. Discuss with the things that are stressing you out. I don't think it's insecurities. I don't think it's any of that. I feel like it has something to do with how you truly feel about this individual. Let's take a look, see what's going on with your Wisdom and Oracle, see what else we can get with this. Come to the edge, and that talks about taking a risk. It's very similar to the Fool, as you see, like how she is at the edge anyway. She's dancing on it, but she's living on the edge. She's living a dangerous life, but it's not like it's saying like, live a dangerous life, do something edgy and risky. Well, obviously that is what it means, because the Seven of Swords is asking you to do it. Do something you feel like you're not necessarily 100% confident about doing, which perhaps is talking about how you feel. It's not comfortable, especially when it's something that is not enjoyable. Like if it was just love and things like that, yeah, I can have an element of uncomfort because you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. But this is a little bit different, because this is putting you on the fence. This is making you feel very defensive, really offensive, like ready to attack, or ready to slice the dice. Either way, it would be better to just communicate it out. I know it's hard to do, especially with somebody that's really good at, if this is a manipulative individual, it's, it's hard to do. And it could be that this person isn't manipulative at all, but there's something here that you feel that you do need to discuss, that you need to go up there and put it out there. If it's not this person that's manipulative, because if this person doesn't have to be, right? You could be just feeling like you're not ready to connect with somebody like that. You could be feeling like, hey, maybe like you love this individual, but there's something here that's going on from a past cycle that you're not really, that's kind of hard to release. But either way, taking the risk and communicating that is what needs to be done. That's what will help you right now. And I'm not all for telling people what to do, but I feel like it'll really benefit you guys communicating what it truly is that's bugging you guys. That's what's making you feel so offensive like that. Let's see what the Whispers of Love says for this week. Oh my goodness, this card comes up for everybody. Oh my god. Wow. Show simple acts of kindness. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you. I'm not even joking, y'all. You see me shuffle. Like, it's crazy how many times this card's come up. It's come up for Pisces. It's come up for Aries. It's come up for, I think, Aquarius and Capricorn. It's come up for Virgo, I think. Oh wow, it's so amazing. So that pretty much talks about not necessarily showing someone else kindness, right? It could be, right? Maybe you've been a little bit too aggressive with somebody lately, and because you're stressed out and it's a projection, perhaps you may need to just chill out with that. Maybe for some of you guys, you're probably going overboard, but for some of you guys, maybe you're not communicating what you feel, what you need to communicate, and that is showing yourself a simple act of kindness. You don't have to be aggressive in the way you do it. You can be gentle, you can be sweet, you can be calm, you can be the Queen of Swords when you communicate your truth. right? But showing yourself showing a simple act of kindness, or show simple act of kindness, that is talking about being gentle, being, coming at it a little bit softer. I don't think he's talking about escape. I feel like it's talking about more, dealing with the situation that you need to deal with, but do it with, with peace. Do it as calmly as you can, and then treat yourself to whatever you need to treat yourself to. Love on yourself, because it's not easy, especially coming out if you need to come out.